Hey guys, today I'm going to be getting ready and we're just going to chat about a whole bunch of stuff. I asked for a question box on my Instagram and asked what you guys wanted to talk about today while we get ready. And we're just going to go through a whole bunch of the things and see how they pan out. I have a video on how to do my hair in this kind of style on my Instagram. If you want to see how to get like hobbity style bangs and hair, go over there for the quick 1 minute 30-second toot. Curl forward, not backward. First question was, how is the house building going? Well, there is no house building going on anymore. We were planning on building my sister and their family a house. We offered it to them back in 2020. Was that 3? Yeah, that was, God, it was a year ago. And we started getting all of the stuff going towards it. And we started building, permitting. We bought the house plans. We had septic guy come out. We got critical areas done. We got the lot survey done. We got the water done. We got all of the permitting and stuff done. And then shit hit the fan, brother. Financially, things were not working out like they had originally been planned to do. And our contractor who was going to build the house for us, his family, in a way, without disclosing what happened to them, I'd call it somewhat of a family emergency. Just needing to not be away building a house. And this is the contractor that we've been working with for literally years, like 7 years now. And they're like family to us. I've talked to you guys about them before. You know, his age, he's getting up there, getting close to retiring age. And then with what happened in their family, he was like, I don't think I can do it. Financially, it got to a point too where it was like a really scary thing to consider doing it, because at the time, 2023, when I offered it, everything was fine. Get into 2024, shit's changed, hasn't it? I don't think, unless something incredible happens in the next couple years, I don't know that we'd be able to do it. We got pretty far. Basically what the whole plan was, I don't know if I had talked to you guys about it much on YouTube, but basically what the whole plan was that we were going to build an ADU, like an accessory dwelling unit property, right next to our house, like kind of down the hill, because we own a bunch of acreage up here, and we were going to build that for them because like interest rates are 8.5%, and we had such good luck with the builder that we had used so far, and he was so reasonably priced and just really good people. And since they're not able to build for us, the cost is like 10 times higher. Like I'm not exaggerating when I say like it went from like $130 per square foot to, if I go with a different builder, it'll be over $400 per square foot. It really sucks because we literally already bought the house plans. We had already asked them if they were interested. Like, we were in the process. We had the septic design completely done. A lot of people have been asking about that, and it just, I'm devastated about it. It literally is like, I don't really talk much about what's going on in my personal life anymore on YouTube, because I found that it's kind of weaponized against you, and I'm not going to have the internet weaponize my own life against me that they don't even see. It's been an absolutely sickening feeling knowing that was so close to happening and now most likely can't. Quickly popping in to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, which is a new one for my channel, and that is LUME. LUME was invented by OBGYN Shannon Klingman. LUME has a whole range of products. They have deodorants, body wash, they have acidified cleansing bar soap. These are also pH optimized, which helps control odor. They have a lot of different scents available. They have everything from acidified deodorant wipes to whole body deodorant. And the deodorant stick can be applied anywhere. And they say anywhere. I'm gonna read to you what they said. It says here, LUME deodorant is a whole body deodorant for pits, privates, and beyond. We're talking about boobs, belly buttons, butt cracks, vulvas, balls, feet, and more. You can put LUME on your balls. That's not something I ever thought I would say in a sponsored post. LUME is clinically proven to block body odor all day and continues controlling BO for 72 hours. For a limited time, LUME has a variety of holiday bundles available on their website. If you're a new or returning customer, it's the perfect time to stock up. It's not gonna stain your clothes. I feel like it really does prevent odor, and I notice that I smell good all day long. Like when I use this, I'm not having any breakthrough BO or odor or anything like that. This is one that I've been using, and this is in the scent Toasted Coconut. I have never in my entire life smelled a deodorant that smells like this. If Toasted Coconut isn't your vibe, they have 8 different scents as well. Toasted Coconut is if you want to know what it smells like, it literally smells like coconut toasted You don't have to know anymore. That's literally what it smells like. LUME is skin safe, baking soda free, cruelty free, vegan, and it's pH optimized so you can use it anywhere on your body, and it's paraben free. So right now, LUME's holiday bundles are up to 40% off, which is a great deal for new and returning customers, but also you, my followers. They're also offering an additional $5 off plus free US shipping on orders $30 or more when you order from the link below. So it's down in the description. Use code RBK at checkout. That'll get you the good deal. So thank you so much to LUME for sponsoring today's video and for being the first time sponsor of my channel. It's just, I can't believe the cost difference between the builder that I had and the other builders that are available. And what we're noticing too is that other builders who are like available, they are mostly commercial. So they do like apartment complexes, housing developments and stuff like that. So unless you're paying literally millions of dollars, they're not really interested in working with you because they're not in the business of wanting to build small custom homes. So I'm considering potentially learning how to build a damn house, because like if some other son of a bitch can do it, I can do it. And that's kind of how I'm thinking, because it's absolutely mind-blowing to me that we are at a point where it's that expensive. That would mean a 2,000 square foot house would cost $700,000 to build. What kind of world are we living in where that's normal? It used to be that building your own house was one of the cheaper options, and now it's absolutely astronomical. So people asking about the house that we're building, it's not happening unless something financially absolutely just goes crazy in my life, or unless building prices go down, which I don't see them doing, or unless the builder that we had working with decides that he can in fact build a house. Because that was our whole plan. And, you know, all this comes down to is life is really unpredictable. You can have things planned and then catastrophe happens and you just have to roll with the punches. And that's kind of where we're at. Do you still keep up with anyone from the OG beauty community? Not really. No, not really. I found that when I kind of changed my content around a bit and started talking about mental health, mental illness, just like the struggles of life, started posting less about makeup and more about like motherhood and just all that kind of stuff, you know, people fall off. I don't really blame anybody. I find that a lot of people are just more of like an acquaintance than they are a friend. And I still consider these people my friends, but no, I don't really talk to hardly anybody from the beauty community. We'll DM back and forth and like we're all on each other's close friends stories. So that's just like as much as I get. I don't like have any hard feelings or anything. I just understand that people go their own ways. There's certain type of content people like to consume and then don't. And I get that. It makes complete sense to me. I'm not trying to put too much stock into it and think like, oh, they hate me. They might, but you know, that ain't about me. I'm just going to do what I do. And if your vibes, if you vibe with it, that's great. If you don't, then you don't have to vibe with everything. I get that. Also, just kind of the reality of the situation is when you're on top and doing really, really good, people want to be friends with you. And when you're not, people kind of are just like, bye. So, I don't know. I was going to take it for what it is, don't I? Someone said, any future collabs upcoming? Will you be using your Pure Collab in more videos? I would like to use my Pure Collab video. I mean, God, it's like probably expired. I have upcoming things that I'm doing. Not makeup collabs, but collabs. Yes. Yes, I do. One of them up in the air, not 100% sure of, but one of them I'm 100% sure of. And we are in the midst of working on it right now. And I'm excited about it, really excited about it. So my son is 4. So a lot of people are asking me questions about 4 years old, school, stuff like that. In absolute disbelief, my son just had his 4th birthday. 4 years old feels really big. 3 feels like still a little baby, like a little kid. But 4 feels like big kid territory. And he's 4. We had a Bluey birthday party. It went off without a hitch. It was absolutely wonderful. I had the funnest time. I had such a great, it was just a great day. I was in such a great mood. So was he. We had Costco pizza. I made his cake from scratch, and I'm talking from the inside to the outside. It was a delicious recipe. I will post it down below. It is a chocolate cake, but the chocolate, you add like a little bit of espresso powder in, because when you add espresso powder into chocolate, it like makes the chocolate taste more rich. I can't describe it other than to say it's like the best cake. And now to warn you, if you make this cake recipe, because you use boiling water in it, it will look like you are making soup. You're like, why is it so runny? It looks like you messed up. You didn't mess up, I promise. I thought well, I screwed up because it was liquid. Literally the batter was liquid, and cake batter's not normally like that. But it turned out absolutely amazing and moist. And then the inside of the cake, I made a homemade chocolate ganache, which is so easy. It's literally just heavy cream and chocolate chips. And then on the outside of the cake, I made a homemade buttercream using like piping tips. And I watched a couple of TikTok tutorials on how to do kind of that classic style piping. And it turned out so cute. I'm really happy with it. Absolutely everybody kept making compliments about it. I'm like, because I worked so hard on that cake. So he is 4 years old, and he is absolutely a 4-year-old boy right now. I am in it. He is so funny, sweet, amazing, hilarious. Oh my gosh, just big. Yeah, so we're thinking about, you know, sports and school and extracurricular activities and things like that. You know, these are the things you have to start thinking about when you start getting to the age of having older kids. So I don't really know what we're going to do for that. We're thinking either potentially a private school, potentially homeschool, maybe a homeschool co-op. I'm not 100% sure because it's all about what's available. I want to make sure that he is well socialized and not cut off from like kids his own age. I want him to experience a lot of normal school, but the schools around us aren't that great. So I'm trying to figure out what else to do. So we're not 100% sure what we're going to do, but we're still about a year from that because his birthday's in December. So I think because I think kids start, from what I understand, kids start kindergarten when they're 5. He won't be 5 until December. So I think, would he have to start the year after next, or would he just be like the youngest kid in kindergarten? I'm not sure exactly how that starts. I'm gonna need to look into all of that more seriously because up until now, it's kind of been like just a discussion that we have every now and again. He's never done daycare or anything like that. So it's gonna be a weird, I don't know, I just don't really know. All I do know is that kids though, that you think like, well, I've never done it. They're so resilient. Kids are just so resilient and amazing. So I'm sure whatever we end up going with will be fine. And if it's not, we'll figure something out from there. You know, people choose all different kinds of schooling. I did see that there's like a Waldorf school near us. And I think that's sort of like I don't know, I have to look more into it. I think it's sort of like a homeschool co-op, but there's like 30 students, you know, or like there's a bunch of students. And it's like sort of like private school mixed with home. I'm not exactly sure. Like I think you can stay or you have like a certain amount of hours you have to volunteer. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do. I just wanna find something that works with him because he's literally academically, he's so freaking smart. My kid is like, I know every mom, trust me, I know every mom is like, my kid is incredible. I know. That's not lost on me. I just want to set him up for success. So I want to do like lots of extracurriculars. I want to make sure that we're offering him sports if he wants, or music, or all kinds of things like that, you know? So wherever he goes, I just want to make sure that there's a lot of, I don't know, I want it to be like, I want to be involved in it. I don't just want to be like, bye, and then like, I don't know, just drop him off. I really want to be involved and like see what's going on and see what kind of sports are out there and extracurricular activities, and like I'm stoked on it. We'll see how that goes. We are nowhere near that decision. So I don't know. People ask all the time because I feel like that's such a question you get a lot. Or when you have a kid, they're like, what are you gonna do for school? Bro, I don't know. There's so many decisions. But I went to the public schools around me and they're fine, I guess. Like it's not like I'm anti-public school whatsoever. I just went to these ones so I know what they're like. And, you know, nobody can try to tell me because I went to them. So I have my experiences and I know what I was exposed to and I know what I was doing and I know the kind of miscreant shit I was doing when I was a kid. And I am just in a very privileged position that I work from home at this juncture in my life to be able to be there with my son, or at least be somewhat close by so that I'm, you know, a part of it. I don't want him to get sucked into the same shit that got me when I was in school. And these are the same schools that I went to. So. But I want the tea. What's the rudest famous person you've met? I haven't really met famous people. If there ever was one, I don't feel like they were ever rude. Just very much like, here, get your picture. Okay, bye. I went to the SAG Awards and I met people there. There were a couple people that weren't as friendly as I thought they would be, but also I'm kind of the person that like, I try not to put too much pressure on that kind of situation because, yeah, like you're out of your element. You might be like an introvert. You might feel kind of awkward. Maybe you're just having a bad day. I was at an event a few years ago and I was talking to, I'll say her name, nicest, sweetest. I was talking to Allie, is it Allie Glines? I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Glines. They are the nicest, sweetest little couple in the entire world, her and her husband. And I was in a particularly grumpy mood that day. And I'm not usually the one, okay? I am not a grump. I tend to be the type of person that you're seeing right now. This is kind of who I am all the time. I'm pretty even keel. But that day I had gone, it had been a week, okay? I had already gone to like 6 different events because I was in LA for 2 weeks. That entire day before that, I was at a photo shoot. I believe I was at that morning. I was at a photo shoot with NYX doing a Halloween makeup look, or I was doing something like that for like upcoming months prior. And so I had to drive home in an Uber in my Halloween makeup and immediately take it off and immediately get ready and immediately go to an event. I think the event was Karen's event. It was like I Love Sarai, you know, and it was Dose of Colors. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what this was. And I was such a little whiner at that event. I just feel like when they came up and talked to me, I was like, I hate LA. LA is garbage. I think this place sucks. Like, I just remember I had a couple of bad experiences that day with like rude Uber drivers and like just, I was so over it. I can't remember what had happened. There was obviously a reason that I was being a pissy little bitch, but I don't remember what those were. All I remember is that I basically came home later and I was like, I just gave the worst impression. Okay, this was like 2018 maybe. And I am still thinking about how bad of an impression I gave to them because they are so positive and sweet and nice and kind and like darling. And everything about them is just like, I don't know, wholesome. And I was like, yeah, well, fucking, I was being such a little brat. I wasn't being rude to them. I think I was just kind of like complaining a little bit or like being, I don't know, just a little bit of a turd. And so I think back on that because it was so out of character for me. I just don't act like that ever. I'm not that kind of person. And so that's why I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. If I meet somebody and they're a little off, I'm like, yeah, they're probably just not feeling it this day. Or they're kind of just, you know, I try not to be like, well, that celebrity's an asshole. I'm trying to think like, are they an asshole? Or, cause like, if you hear about like all the stories about Ellen, you know, Ellen DeGeneres, there you go. Fair enough. Everybody who's ever met her says she's a bitch. Not everybody that ever meets me says that. And maybe Allie Glines thinks that. And I am so sorry if you do, Allie, because you're a sweet-hearted angel and like nothing about you is anything like but lovely. You're Snow White. And then I was kind of wicked stepmom, wicked witch that day. I just remember being so disenchanted, is that the word? By LA. I had just seen like rats and roaches running by on Hollywood Boulevard and I can't remember what else happened. Something happened when I was there. And so I was just so grumpy. And I just feel like I was complaining about LA the entire time I was there, being like, I could never imagine living here. I hate this damn place. I stand by that, but like maybe time and place, you absolute wimpy kitty baby whiner. Someone said, can you share more about your religious journey / beliefs? This is a touchy topic to talk about on YouTube, but I'm kind of at the point in my life where I'm like, so I grew up in a house that was Christian. My parents both went to church. So growing up, I grew up in the church. Like we went to Sunday school on Sundays. And then when I got a little bit older, like my friend group that we would hang out with, they liked to go to like youth group on Wednesdays. And so I would go on Sundays to church and then youth group on Wednesdays to another church. And then I got to the point where I was like so in the church and those were my friend group that like, I actually remember it was a couple weeks before my mom died. And it was a really horrible time in our house. She was on hospice and it was just like really tense. Everything it was very obvious that it was like the final moments my mom was gonna die, but she had this very specific thing. She would always want us to make sure that we could still be kids. That was something that she said, like when she was in the midst of dying, like, I still want you guys to be kids. And we were teenagers, you know, I was 16 years old. So I had been going to church all throughout high school, off and on, not every week, but all in all, my friends were church friends and really, really good kids, like really wholesome, good kids. 2 or 3 weeks before my mom died, I went to church camp and she really wanted me to go. And I was miserable. I did not want to go. I did not want to miss what seemed like it was the end of my mom's life. I was just like, this is it, dude. And I'm going to be at church camp. And she's like, go be a kid. You don't need to just sit here and watch me die. And so I went and I remember going to that church camp and like the kids are out like riding on zip lines and on the blob. And I was sitting by the edge of the water the entire time, there was like a lake there, and I was feeding birds by myself for an entire week straight. That's what I did the whole week. I just cried and fed seagulls. I remember just wanting to go home, just wanting to be with my mom. And I think in retrospect, they were just trying to get me to like not be mourning constantly. However, I think thinking back, I just wanted to be home with my mom, and I really would have enjoyed the additional week with my mom, because as sad as it was, it's not like I was having a good time at church camp. You know what I mean? So I went, and it was of my own volition. Like they asked me, like, do you want to go? And I was like, I want to go, but I also want to be with mom. And they're like, go, go, go. So I went, and I grew up in the church in that way, meaning like we were always at church. And I think it's like non-denominational, like Christian is what you would call it. I still don't know much about the denominations and stuff like that, but we weren't like Baptist or anything. So then my mom dies. Brutal, 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 horrific, awful, terrible, horrendous death. And I stopped going to church because, well, obviously I'm literally like 16 years old. I'm beside myself depressed. The pillar of our family is gone. And I just remember one girl did. I remember her name. Her name was Chelsea. She sent me a letter and she said like, I'll pray for you, something, something, something. But I felt like none of the people gave me what I needed as a 16-year-old who had just lost her mom. And to be fair, they were also a bunch of 16-year-olds who had parents. So like, they don't know what to say to me. It's awkward. I mean, people offered their condolences, but at that time, something happened in my mind where I was like, fuck you. You don't know me. You weren't there for me. I quit going to church, and I quit seeking God, and I quit reading my Bible, and I quit any sort of relationship that I had, and I just partied. I partied hard. Like, that's what I did my entire teenage years into my 20s. I just drank and went to raves and partied and was doing miscreant shit. Like, I was depressed, dude. My mom was dead, and my dad was depressed. I mean, God, his wife died. He has 2 young girls at home. I can't even imagine, you know? So I just kind of did the exact opposite. I didn't think about God. I didn't think about eternity. I didn't think about anything like that. I didn't think about my life or deeper meaning or anything like that. It wasn't even on my thought. I just wanted to take care of me. I wanted to just do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. I don't want to think about God. I don't want to think about my mom. I don't want to think about where she went. So avoidance was like my technique in life. I was completely like avoidant to anything that was anything religious at all, because I just didn't want to think about that. I don't want to go there. So I kind of was like that until probably last year, this year, January. Basically what happened was, without getting too much into detail, but I'll explain it because I'm not afraid to talk about it, because I just think we all have our own paths and journeys, and I don't judge where anyone else is at, and I'm not that kind of person. It's not the kind of person that I am, and don't try to put that evil on me. So basically, my husband and I got pregnant. You know, we were gonna have a baby, and this was in 2020. And you guys know, I dealt with infertility for 15 years prior to this. So this is the shock of our lives. Like, imagining having a baby after literally being told that you never could. So this is during COVID shutdown. Everything is rough. I go through this horrific labor and birth. And if you guys want to watch my birth story, it's up on my channel. And my husband watches our son be born. Now, before this, I have to explain to you, which I'll ask him permission before I post this to make sure that he's okay with me talking about this on the internet. My husband is the atheist of all atheists, okay? Like, the atheist of all atheists. Like, there is no convincing him. I even told my friend this, who was very Christian. This was probably 10 years ago. And I was like, I truly believe in my soul there is no way he could ever begin to even mildly believe in God. Like, literally never. Ever. He was so atheist, like the idea of it was laughable to him. He just had so many rebuttals and like, okay, like it just sounded like as real as being like, there's fairies and flying elves. Like, he'd be like, yeah, you know? And so I get that. And so we were kind of on the same spectrum. Like, I wasn't atheist, but I was not seeking or caring or anything like that. Not praying or doing anything. And then my atheist husband watched our baby be born. And he said it was like the most profound experience of his entire life. He felt in that moment like he saw God. Like, it was like a spiritual experience. And he is not the one, you guys, when I tell you, like, not my husband. He's the kind of guy that is so like, well, was so cynical and analytical, and always just had a rebuttal, and would not make you feel stupid, but sort of like, okay, boomer. Like, he just kind of gave that kind of vibe. And then our son was born. And he watched the miracle of life come into existence, and it literally changed him. He immediately was like, there's got to be something more to this. Like, he's never considered that, or even, because it wasn't even like he was agnostic necessarily before, but he was like pretty atheist, like, I don't think there's anything. And wouldn't even come to the idea of imagining it. And then he saw our son be born and was like, oh, okay, well, I feel like my life's changed forever. And so over the last 4 years, since our son has been born, I watched my extremely, deeply atheist husband turn into like a biblical scholar. Like, it's so fascinating to me to see that he just was like, I need to learn more. I need to know more. And so he started reading and reading and reading and read the Bible, and is listened to 100,000 podcasts, and is listening to things that are listening to videos from atheists, listening to people that are from differing religions, listening to Catholics versus Christians versus this versus that, trying to see where the truth lies for him and what ultimately makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Is there more? Is there not more? Is this just, there's a lot of questions that come to everything. And he, in doing that, it just got me thinking, I'm the most skeptical person you've ever met in your entire life. Like, I am the person that is so frustrating to talk to, because I can like hear all your sides. I can hear all of the points. I can hear all of the reasonings. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the kind of person that I am. And I've always been very much like that in regards to the Bible. So since my husband has been learning, I was like, you know what? I want to try to learn too. So just because you can't know what you believe unless you know all the sides, right? I can't know if I believe it if I've never read it. I can't just claim that I don't believe it if I don't even know what I'm saying I don't believe, or if I say that I do. So I've always been super skeptical, and everything feels so like confusing to me. Like, I don't know what to believe. This world is like trying to understand creation or the Big Bang or forever or eternity or nothing. Like, our brains cannot comprehend those topics. They just literally can't. It's like unbelievable it's unfathomable. You can't do it. Like, your brain isn't able to understand nothingness or outside of time and space, or like, we can't do that. We're human. You know what I mean? We're not able to make sense of eternity and why. And like, I had so many questions. I'm always somebody with so many questions. Like, I'm talking like, I could sit there and ask questions for hours and feel like I'm not ever getting anywhere or knowing anything. And so because I am so skeptical, and because I am always sort of like, I don't know, not unbelieving, but sort of in a way of like, what do I believe? What don't I believe? I don't really know, because there's been, I just don't know, I'm not even gonna lie and pretend like I know. But the more I mean, this is getting so deep now, and I can do a whole video separately about this if it would be a better idea. But it was basically like, the more I look inward, the less it helps me. And when I look outward, I feel peace, like for the first time in my entire life. And I don't claim to understand any of it or know any of it. I am merely a baby when it comes to any of this stuff. It is very confusing to me. I have a billion questions. And when I have those questions, I seek the answers online through people that I find helpful, like Cliff Connectly, just other people who know more than me, or like biblical scholars, or reading books, or like listening to debates between atheists and Christians, and listening to debates between different religions, not just Christianity. Like, that's kind of where I'm at this juncture in my life, is trying to make sense of it all, because I feel personally I am not atheist. I feel like there is something more. I don't feel like I'm just cells and matter and I don't mean anything. I don't think that there's no reason for any of this. Like, I have to believe that there is more than this, because otherwise what then is the purpose? So it's hard for me. Like, I get all the reasonings too. I hear all the debates on both sides. I hear why everybody thinks the way they do. I hear all of the, back and forth, and like, there's a lot of debate. Like, I feel like there's no more a debated and heated topic than religion. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it. And myself included, up until like literally like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. Because I don't still know, you know? But what I do know is that being skeptical the way that I have been my entire life, like my entire life, like, and once my mom died, I became the biggest skeptic in the world. Like, oh, prove it, prove it. And that's the kind of person that I am. And that has not given me peace. It doesn't give me peace to disbelieve everything that exists. Like, and you do have, like, you know, and that was my whole thing. Like, you have some level of faith, whether you believe it or not. I have faith that when I take this medication, that medication is going to work for me. I have faith that when I do this thing, that's going to do for me. I have faith that this scientist is telling me the truth. I have faith that this is, you know, the way that this whole thing works. I can't prove it. There's a lot of things that I can't prove, but I have faith in, you know what I mean? I just have faith that it's gonna work out, or is not, you know what I mean? All these kind of things. So I am such a skeptical person in every single way. And I just came to the realization a few weeks ago, I'm like, my skepticism is not benefiting me at all. All it's doing is keeping me stuck in a place of being like, yeah, well, but prove it. And it's like, there are some things that just are that you can't prove, but we have to have faith in something. And if you're not having faith in God, then you have faith in something else. You have faith in something. Even if that is that all of this is nothing, then you have faith that all of this is nothing. You know what I'm saying? I am choosing to have faith that I, first of all, don't know, but that I'm seeking. And they say, if you seek, you shall find. So I'm hoping that is the case for me. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I don't want to alienate anybody. That's never my purpose. I know that when I started wearing this, a lot of people took a lot of offense to that. And that is, you know, everyone has their own walk with experiences, with type of people that they've come around with, type of like religious people that they've come around. And maybe those people have given such a bad name to the religion that other people start to shun it or hate it. That is not what I will ever be. If there's ever anything that I will offer, is that I am a loving person and that I will lead with love. Myself personally, that's what I'm going to lead with. And that's always been the case for me. I'm not a judgmental person. I don't do that. I'm not a judgmental and hateful person. That's just not somebody that I am. And I just want to do the best with the life that I have here. And that's by being loving and kind and accepting of people for who they are, where they're at, and understand that treating people with compassion and respect is what gets them to a place where they feel like they could potentially open up to what you're saying, instead of being hateful and shitty and awful. So anyway, this is a really touchy topic, but I tend to try not to talk about things like this on the internet because I feel like it's so taboo and people take it one way or the other. I am a person who is just trying to figure it out for themselves, and also understanding that if somebody thinks completely differently and they're like, there is nothing, I'm like, okay, I see why you would think that. And for me, I hope that somebody else could look at me and be like, that makes sense. Because I listen to enough debates, I listen to enough people arguing about this, that it's just going to keep going back and forth, because it's all a belief system. Whether you believe it not to be true or you believe it to be true, you're still believing in something. And I don't know, it's just really hard. There's so many questions that I have. The Bible is huge and confusing, you know, but because I've been so skeptical, I've been so closed off to this conversation. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to know. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. But I am a very anxious person. I am a very deep thinker, but I'm always deeply thinking about me, I, myself. And when that deep thinking started going outwards towards something bigger than me that isn't me, I started feeling a peace that I have not felt in a long time. I'm not perfect. I'm still going to go through ups and downs. I'm still going to have a hard time sleeping sometimes. I'm still going to have panic attacks. I'm sure I'm still going to have anxiety. I'm sure I'm still going to feel depression. But when it's not all on me and I can lay some of that on something else, it feels like a burden has been taken off of my shoulders. And that to me has been like really profound for me. And so that's all I want to say. I don't even know if I'm going to add this into the video. I can let Zach figure it out. We're all just trying to fucking do our best, dude. We're all trying to do our best. We're all trying to find out what the right thing is for us. And what that is for me is not going to be the same as it is for you. What that is for you may not work at all for me, or it might be like we can kind of bounce things off each other. Oh, hey, that does make sense. That's the kind of person that I am. When I have a conversation with somebody, I am not like, no, that's not right. You're wrong. And this is how I know. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see totally why you think that way. It actually is so reasonable. I'm like that kind of person. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and try to understand that like we're all coming from a completely different walk of life, completely different backgrounds, completely different experiences and traumas and things that we've dealt with in our entire lives that have gotten us to the place where we feel like we can go down one path or go down another. And that is just the way it is. And I think that we don't We don't get to a place where we can all kind of understand each other out through hatred and fighting and screaming and yelling and judging and pointing fingers and making blanket statements and assumptions. That's not real or good or normal, and people don't act like that in person. So I sure hope I wish the internet was the same. But anyway, that's kind of how where I'm at. So what was the question? Where are you at with your religious journey beliefs? I at this point, what I would say you could call me is learning. I'm learning and I'm reading the Bible. And I am listening to pastors, I'm listening to sermons, I'm listening to debates, I'm listening to back and forth between atheists, agnostic, Buddhists, I'm listening to people who are Christian, I'm listening to people who are Mormon, all different kinds of religion. And I think ultimately where I'm landing is Jesus, was what I grew up with, and it sort of resonates with me the most. And if you aren't, you are not judged by me, and I do not care. Like, I want everybody to, you know, discover things in their own time, and just, we all know what feels right for us and when. And it took me getting to the point where I realized literally nothing else worked for me to feel any sort of semblance of peace. And as soon as I started seeking him, I feel at least somewhat more peaceful than I did before. Like a true, like almost calm. I'm just going to keep going with that. And I'm going to hope and pray that I find the right path to go down. And I'm just going to keep going with it and see how it feels. Someone said, what are your 2025 goals? Plans for your property, your sister's home, travel plans? Well, sister's home on pause. Hopefully one day we would be able to do it, but I just don't really know, unless some kind of miracle happens with the builder or with home pricing and just that kind of stuff. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I can't believe the cost increase that went up. I mean, literally 400%. I want to travel. I want to travel with our kid. He's 4 now, and I feel like it'll be really fun. I want to start going to like Leavenworth. I want to start doing like little road trips in Washington, going to different places, going to the islands, going to, my friend owns a like lake house over in Eastern Washington. I want to go to that. Maybe even go to like Utah and check out like Zion National Park, or I want to try some of the national parks. I want to go to the whole rainforest. I've lived in Washington my entire life, and I've never been to the whole rainforest. Plans for our home. I just want to make it homier and cozier. I think I'm actually going to build a little mini mobile cabin here on the property. I know I can do it. We built our chicken coop and I did that just fine. So I think I'm going to do that. I am just feeling like looking forward. I want to make like a guest room so that people can stay. Right now it's just our catch-all room full of garbage. So I want to make a guest room. We are also making a dahlia garden. I'm going to like buy shit tons of dahlias, and I want to have an entire cut flower dahlia garden. Like, I cannot wait for that. I'm so stoked to do that. We planted about 3,000 bulbs this winter, so I'm excited to see how those come up and how that's going to look. Ultimately, I think with this video, I've touched on a couple of touchy topics that I don't normally talk about. And I think I'm doing that because I'm just at a place where I don't need to mince words. Like I said, I am not a very black and white person. I'm a very gray area person. I can see both sides for a lot of things. So with like the religion thing, dude, I get it. I get it. If you're like, oh my God, that changes who you are. It literally doesn't. Literally everything you've ever known about me is exactly the same. It doesn't change me at all. In fact, it just makes me more like empathetic, I suppose, and more understanding, and me just trying to make any kind of understanding out of this insane world that we live in that feels so chaotic and like inexplicable. It's just me trying to find any sort of understanding that I can in that. It doesn't change me, so I hope that doesn't make you feel like any kind of way when I say that, because nothing has actually changed. I actually grew up in the church. I actually have always done, like the person that you see before you, all of what I said prior had been happening. I just don't talk about it. So I don't change as a person. I'm a very like, I'm a very understanding, accepting person, because it's not my place not to be. I would never want anyone to feel alienated or judged or discriminated against or any of that in ever. That's just not my life. It's not who I am as a person. I'm not the one, and I'm not ever going to be that one. So I don't want anybody to, think because a certain word is like tied to me that has anything to do with me. Again, don't put that evil on me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to find my own personal relationship, my own personal beliefs to God. Trying so hard to like just make sense of it all, or even making sense of the Big Bang. It's hard for my brain to get. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not like if I just let religion out the door and I just go to science only that I just am like, oh, and now that makes perfect sense, because it's like, okay, so all of this came from nothing. I'm a mistake. I'm an absolute, it just, all of it makes no sense to me. All of it. I think all of us need to have a little more grace for one another in that we're all just trying to figure it out in our own time and in our own way. And a lot of people choose not to talk about these things, and I could be one of them in the future, you know, depending on how the reception to this. I may not talk about this again in the future, or I may decide to just be brave and do so. But I don't want anyone to think that anything changes or that I'm like becoming some kind of something. I'm not a fundamentalist. I'm not like, my God, I couldn't be further from that. I am the exact opposite, actually. I am all love, baby. I'm all love, and I'm all just trying to make sense of this shit the same way that you are. Same with, like, you know, with having a kid. I feel like everything comes off as a judgment or like a judgment call. Look, if I send my kid to public school, I send my kid to public school. There's actually one around here that I've considered. It's got a smaller class load, so it's not as easy for kids to kind of get lost in the shuffle, and I am considering it. Both my husband and I are. We even potentially might sign our kid up for it soon. We're not 100% sure. We're just thinking about it, you know? We're also looking into like Montessori schools. We're also looking into homeschool. We're also looking into homeschool co-op. We would never homeschool just one-on-one. Most likely just won't fit for us. It won't work for the type of lifestyle that we have. And my kid is a voracious learner. Like, he wants to learn. So I want to get him into a type of schooling that he will thrive. I want him to have people that want to help, but I also want to be a part of that. So again, I feel like sometimes when you make these kind of comments, or when you make, like, when somebody answers and they'll be like, oh, I'm in a homeschool, you think, oh, so what? You're too good for public school? No, dude, I went to public school. I literally K through 12 public school. Like, I know what it's like, and they're the ones next to me. So it's funny when people want to be like, there's nothing wrong with them. I didn't say anything. I didn't say there was, but also I went to them, so you can't tell me that. Like, I already know the kind of shit that I was exposed to when I was a kid, and the kind of bullying that I experienced, and the kind of people just leaving you to your own devices. And like, I remember that there was a day when I was in school, and this I'm sure could happen at any sort of schooling, but when, you know, there's 600 students or 1,000 students, I remember there was a day where all of my friends collectively said to me, they didn't say anything to me, actually, that was the whole point. They all collectively decided that they were going to freeze me out, that they weren't going to talk to me that day. And all of my friends, I'd be like, hi, and they would act as though I was invisible. They literally would not talk to me. So for an entire 24 hours, I was at school wondering, can they see me? Am I invisible? Why are they being mean to me? They would not speak to me. They wouldn't look at me. They wouldn't give me the acknowledgement or the time of day. It was like a social experiment or something. I'm 37 years old, and I'm still talking about it because it affected me. Not to say that those other things won't affect him, because my son, like, obviously he's going to go through his own shit. He's going to have his own experiences. I can't protect him from everything, and I don't want to. I want him to live his life and experience it. But also, in that same regard, if I can have any sort of a little bit more involvement in his schooling instead of just dropping him off and being like, bye, whatever happens, happens. If I can be there and involved because nobody cares for him like I do, then I would love that. I would love to be involved, not just for the reasons of like control and making sure bullying doesn't happen, but that is important, but also because I love him more than anything, and I get a very few amount of select years where he's even going to want to be around me. So I want to use that for a time where I can spend time with the love of my life and be a part of his education and help him. And where I feel like I don't have the right skills, get them. Like, I'm not dumb. I'm not going to sit around and be like, unschooling's my favorite. I don't think kids need any school. No, my kid quite literally wants to learn. Like, he wants school. It's literally, it is him. He is that. So I'm gonna just foster that as much as we can in the best way that we can with what we have around us, you know, because we live in a small little area. It's not like we have like these huge resources. It's not like I live in New York with a million different schooling options. Like, we live in a tiny little town with very few options, but the options that we're gonna pick are gonna be whatever is best for him and us, and that's it. So I never know. We're not set on anything. We have no idea. We are not like, there's no plan at all other than we just are going to go with what we are able to, whatever feels right. And that might be public school. The one that we found that is public is like a really nice one. It's quite a drive for us to go to. Unfortunately, like, you won't be able to ride the bus or anything, but But that's okay because I don't mind. His little friend goes there and it's a really sweet little school district with a lot smaller class sizes. So I feel like your kid, again, doesn't get like lost in the shuffle. Okay, well, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It got like heavy topics actually today. Things that I've never talked about on the internet before but you know, I'm coming up on 40. I don't even want to say these words. Are you kidding when I say that? I'm excited about some of the stuff that's coming up soon. I'm excited about where we are, going with some future endeavors. We've got some really good ideas and I'm really excited about them. And overall, I just feel like I am excited to be at a part of life where I'm kind of trying something new. I'm trying, you know, opening myself up to ideas instead of being closed off. I'm a very closed off person. I'm a very like, you know, you guys have seen, they'll be like, do you believe in aliens? I'm like, I don't believe in aliens. I'm like, oh, what about Sasquatch? No, I don't believe in that. What about, I don't believe in any of it. Like, that's just the kind of person that I am. Oh, what about God? I don't believe in any of it. Like, I just don't believe in anything. I'm just that kind of person. I've never had any supernatural experiences. I've never experienced anything like, I'm just a skeptic in my heart. And that's not fun for me. I don't like it. And trying to be more open to the ideas of things, like choosing to be open to them and choosing not to be skeptical is kind of like the first feeling I've ever felt in my life where I'm like, that could be true then. And it's like, and if that's true, then that means this is true. And if that's true, then that means this is true. And that's a new place for me because I live in a place of skepticism with everything. That's the kind of person that I am. I just always have been. Like, literally anything. People are like, did you hear that? I'm like, yeah. I always go to the like, that was probably just a jet. And they're like, no, that sounded like Bigfoot. And I'm like, it definitely wasn't Bigfoot. Like, it literally, Bigfoot could be standing in front of me. I'd be like, there's a guy in a costume. Like, I am so irritating. But, and I get it. I get why I'm like that. But it's been kind of fun to not be that way for a minute and just be like, maybe that is true. What if that was true? And see where it takes me. So, yeah. Very interesting video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It got deep. Thank you guys. And I will see you at my next video. Bye.